Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyat Radinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So what verse are we on?
We're on 48.
Verse 48. And sound, are you chanting tonight?
Verse 48. Atmai Vedam Jagat Sarva Matmano Jnana Vidyate Mrudu Yadvat Khattadini Matmanam Sarva Mikshate. The tangible universe is verily the Atman itself. Nothing whatsoever other than the Atman exists. Just as pots and jars are verily made of clay and cannot be said to be anything but clay, so too, for the enlightened person, all that is perceived is the self.
So, what is the material cause of the world of name and form? And he uses this classic image of the potter and the pot. When a pot is made, we have three causal elements. We have a material cause. Material cause of the pot is clay. We have an instrumental cause, the potter's wheel. It is the instrument by which the pot is made. And we have what we call an efficient cause, the potter. What we're dealing with is that first element, the material cause of the pot is clay. So it's very cool. I don't know if they do this anymore, but when I've been in India decades ago, in some of the more rural areas, you go by a tea stall and they would have sun-fired clay cups to put the tea in. Do they still do that?
Yes,
Yeah.
It's called a cooler.
So you get your tea and you drink your tea, and what do you do when it's done? You toss it. clay. And then when the chai wali, is that what they call him? When he wants to make more, he takes the same clay, makes more little cups out of it. So the clay is the material cause. If he wanted to make a big bowl, he could make a big bowl out of the clay. Drops. The material cause. Now, when who are you? Daniel first started to come, and we had our usage of the word mithya.
Yeah.
You had said conditioned reality. Dependent.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is a way to look at it. So we have these two scriptural statements which appear to be contradictory. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman or consciousness alone is real. The phenomenal world mithya. Now, what mithya means is illusion or a lie. We have another scriptural statement. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Sarvamidam, all this, meaning the phenomenal world, Kalu, verily, is Brahman consciousness. Well, make up your mind. Is it illusion or is it consciousness? Yes. So we have to reconcile these two statements. Easiest way to understand it is to go to the world of imagination and the world of dream. So if you all close your eyes for a moment and visualize an elephant. Ryan is a mommy elephant, and she's got a little baby. She's an African elephant. She's got big ears and tusks, but not too long. Little baby elephants nursing. His nose all off to the side. Open your eyes. Now, what is the material cause of your imaginary elephant?
Why?
The mind stuff. What you made your imaginary elephant out of. Now, you are the god of your dream. The way in which the world of your dream comes about is a reenactment of the cosmos. So if you dream about an elephant, there is a similarity to the elephant of your imagination. There's a difference. The similarity is the elephant of my dream. The material cause again is my mind. The difference is the added element of ignorance. So I'm the waker. I go to bed, fluff my pillow, say my prayers. And then all of a sudden, something happens, which is the precursor to the dream. What's that?
Fall asleep.
We could say sleep is the non-apprehension of myself as the waker. It's pure ignorance. Then on top of that ignorance, the mind projects. the dream world. And to the dreamer, the dream elephant seems real. I think it was Pamela had talked about being chased by an elephant that squished your car or something like that.
No, that wasn't a dream. That happened. I mean, it didn't squish the car, but it would have, could have.
Yeah. Or was it?
Well, it was in the waking state.
It was in the waking state, but it seemed pretty damn real, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But to the dreamer, the same story would have seemed just as real. It's only when I wake up, the philosophical or the technical term is the dream is negated. Gone. Oh, it seems so real, but it's gone. It's not real. Now, God does not dream the world at us, but as us and through us, not at us and to us, but as us and through us. So the phenomenal way it happens is infinite consciousness by its Maya Shakti has as its first manifestation Ishvara. We call it the Lord, but the total vasana. What was the cause of the Big Bang? And then all the things and beings come into being in the world of things and beings. There are conscious sentient beings themselves reenact this creative process. So to a large degree, we are the author of our experience of the world. It's a group effort. The word for the total mind in Sanskrit is Hiranya Garbha, which means golden eggs, just like out of the egg springs the bird or the animal. So out of this golden egg of the total mind springs all of this. But it is a total mind. It's the sum total of my mind and yours and yours and yours and yours and yours and yours, and the worms and the germs and the frogs and everything, and the aliens and everything. And the total is greater than the sum of its parts. It is organized and conscious. And we call it Ishvara. We call it God. We call it the Lord. Swamiji used to thunder, it's a cosmos, not a chaos. So what? Now, there are some schools of thought, mostly Buddhist, which posit that the phenomenal world is out there and it's real and it's material. My problem is the superimpositions of my mental states upon it. It's good, it's bad, it's like the past, what's it going to be like in the future? That's my problem. And that if I can just empty out my mind, I'll see the world as it is. A rose is a rose is a rose. That's only one level of imagination. And the explanation that Ramana Maharshi uses is the movie projector in old-timey days. Consciousness is like the lamp. The mind is like the film And my experience of the world is what shows up on the screen. Okay, I'm going to empty my mind and I'm going to see the world as it is. What happens if you remove all the images on the film? What's the world look like?
Blank screen.
So Vedanta says, if you're seeing a world, you are seeing your judgments. You are seeing your impressions. You are seeing sankalpa, wish, will, thought, intention. What's really here as the phenomenal world is consciousness alone. The best contemporary example I have of this. Did any of you go see the Ramses the Great exhibit at the De Young Museum?
Mhm.
You did?
I did, yeah.
Did you go do the virtual reality thing?
I did not.
Oh, it was so cool. So what you do is you get in these pods. They were kind of like these chairs. And when you're standing in line, you see them tip and swivel and stuff like that. And it's your turn and they strap you in and they put headphones on you and then these virtual reality goggles. The next thing you know, there you are in the Valley of the Kings. And Nefertari is a spirit, you can see through her. And she's going to take us on a tour of the tomb of Ramses the Great. And what's so cool is you can look up and you see the ceiling and you look to the left and the right and down and you literally see inside the tomb in the Valley of the Kings. Then we shoot out to a star, and then we go to the funerary mausoleum of Seti I, which is Ramses' father. And the most cool part of it, you see these tall tripods with a brazier on top and fire, and then the priest is throwing incense onto the fire, and they had smell-o-vision. Out of the pod shoots these fragrances.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was so cool. And it seemed so real, like you're actually there.
Is that all done in code or imagery?
I have no idea how it's done. I have no idea how it's done. Whether or not it's computer generated graphics or photographs that are done, you might know, you guys who are computer geeks.
Is it numeric? Is it mathematical?
It's using the new virtual devices. So there's software, like they call software development kits that you can use to like write programs for those devices.
Right.
So it's writing an app for the phone, and just like that, you design this app for this experience.
But is it ultimately just numbers?
Yeah, and there's like you can design.
That's my
it.
question.
Yeah, you can
So
design
the zeros and ones,
Yeah,
probably all
zeros and ones.
binary,
Yeah.
is the material cause of the virtual reality.
I find that fascinating.
Yes, yes. Very good parallel. And it seems so real. But all it is zeros and ones. So what do we do with this? The world is beautiful. You know, someone was saying, oh, Vedanta, it's nihilistic. It makes you shut down and you don't have any feelings anymore. No.
Who said that?
No. You misunderstood renunciation. Now, did I feel trapped underground because I was buried in the Valley of the Kings? No. Why? I knew it was a virtual reality. When we shot out of it up to the stars, Ramsey had become a star. Was I afraid of the heights? No. Virtual reality. Nefertari was actually kind of good looking. Would I try to date her? Virtual reality. So, as Swami Tejo Mayananda used to say, the foolish person. No, that doesn't work. Never mind. No, it'll work. The foolish person doesn't take life seriously. The intelligent person takes life seriously. But the wise person seriously doesn't take life seriously. Knowing, word the scriptures use so frequently is Leela. It's a play. It's a virtual drama. So watch it, enjoy, cherish, but don't take it seriously.
But if I hear you correctly, Jim, it's a dance through us and as us. So there's more. We're not just watching, we're a participant somehow.
Well, are you or are you not?
Well, that's a
Depends
question.
on where you're identified.
Okay. I like to think of it as a dance.
If you're identified with the equipment, then it's a dance. If you know you are the witness, you watch the dance.
Both and.
And we don't invest in the world properties that it doesn't have. When we were at the tail end of the essence of Yoga Vasishta, there was a story about a fellow who out in a field found the Chinta money. This is a mythical wish-fulfilling gem. But he ignored it. And instead, remember what he found? Worthless pieces of colored glass. He got all excited, left the Chintamani and treasured his worthless pieces of glass. I'm not saying the pieces of glass aren't pretty. It ain't the whole diamond. So also, this world of name and form. How does the Hebrew psalmist say it? The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It's one of my favorite quotes from the psalm. It's a beautiful word. Just like I can go to the movies and see a really sad movie and enjoy it, doesn't mean we don't go through that great range of feeling. Feelings are the blessing, the flower of the human heart. You want to think of your feelings like a painter's palette. Do you only have two colors? Anger and sadness. That's about it. Or do you have multiple colors and hues and shades? And in Gita, the 11th chapter is where the teaching really starts. All up to that point is set up. Arjuna has surrendered. I'm a mess. Teach me. Help me out of this. And Krishna says, you grieve for whom you should not grieve, though you speak words of wisdom. The wise grieve neither for the living nor the dead. What is our grief? Our grief is our experience of loss. I want it to stay a certain way. I hold on. And Krishna says, nothing is ever really lost. That's real. Only the clay changes shape. Only Namarupa, name and form, changes. And it always is changing. That's its nature. We call it the Jagat. Why? Because it goes jugga, 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 jugga. That's what it does. Jugging along. Always change. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Jivan muktastu tad vidvan purvat padi gunam satyajet sa satchidananda rupatvat bhavet brahma rakitavat. A liberated soul endowed with self-knowledge gives up the traits of his previously explained equipments, upadhis, and because of his Satchidananda nature, he verily becomes Brahman as the worm transforming into the wasp.
Okay, so this is old-timey entomology. They didn't quite understand. What Shankara and the ancients thought is the pupa would create the little clay thing, and it was inside, and then the parent wasp would look at it, sting it if it distracted its attention. And it was the fact that it focused on the wasp, it would become a wasp. So, bad entomology. But the idea is, if you focus your attention on your essential nature, it's not that you really become it. Language falls short here. See, that's what you've always been. So when he says we give up the upadhis, this is our identification with what we went through. I am not the body. I am not the energy, the prana. I am not the feelings, the mind, the judgments. I am not the thoughts. I'm not even the darkness of ignorance. What am I? Not an enlightened person. That's another illusory form of self. If you think you're a person, you're deluded. A moment of realization. What happens? Oh, Satchidananda Rupa. My form is existence, consciousness. What is this world? It's not solid material stuff. It's not a bunch of thoughts and feelings. It's not even mathematical laws, and membranes and stuff like that. I don't understand the physics anymore. Sarvam Kalvinam Brahma. All this is verily consciousness. that consciousness that I experience as I am the ground of being of the universe, they are the same. Now listen carefully. The shift in identity between the dreamer and the waker is a gross shift. You're having this wild, crazy dream, and the alarm goes off. Wake up. Gone. You're no longer the dreamer. You are now the waker. The shift from the identity that I'm a person and I am witnessing consciousness, though profound, is incredibly subtle. Switch to listen to the sound of the traffic. Get still. Keep the body still for a minute. Notice who you are. You see, there's no person in there. There's no dancer. There's just Chidakasha, in space of pure awareness. What happened to the Jim or the Wendy or the Daniel? It poofed just as much as when you wake up, the dreamer goes poof. It wasn't anything real. It was imagination. Now, imagination's powerful. We can imagine all sorts of things. I was talking with a fellow today. Weird texts going on between him and this other person. Thinks the other guy is, being clingy and wanting stuff from him and blah, 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 blah. Over here, I'm thinking, dude, that's not what I get in those texts. I wonder where all that stuff is. Why don't you have a talk with him? We do it all the time. We take our own projections as real. I'm the biggest of all. I'm a person. This world is solid and separate from me. And inherently joy-giving or misery-producing. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Titva mohar na vam hatva ragadvesha virakshasan yogi shanti samayukta atma ramo virajate.
Oh, yes.
After crossing this ocean of delusion and killing the monsters of likes and dislikes, the yogi is united with peace, becomes Atma Rama. That is, he comes to revel in himself.
So, in each of our ears are loud trumpets. One is the voice of Raga, passion for things. The other is Dvesha, aversion. Most of us are driven through life by the tyranny of Raga and Dvesha. I want to go after the things I love and I want to get rid of the things I hate. I like this. I hate that. That is the essence of the vimarsha, the deliberation, the vikalpa of the mind. Here Shankara brings to our mind the real essence of yasa vairagya. Abhyasa means practice, sit, discriminate, and then vairagya, abandon my attachment to all experiences gained through the senses and my identification with any personal sense of self. As long as we hang on to a little bit of this and a little bit of that, we will not have steady wisdom. So how do we cross over the ocean of sorrow, avoiding the monster? Sometimes he'll use the word shark. I think the word, did he use graha?
For
The monster,
Raga Dvesha, the Rakshas.
the rakshas. No, not that. Sometimes we'll call it a graha, a grabber, which I think is probably a crocodile. A lot more crocodiles in Kerala than sharks. But anyway, and what is it we get as a result? Some people think, oh, this Vedanta is nihilistic. World tastes like ashes. I'm depressed. I think I'll just go kill myself. No joy. So the yogi cultivates this capacity to tune up the mind, introverted into its source. Not only being a full knower of the Supreme, but being able to retire into the Supreme. The phrase Shankar uses, one of my favorites, Atmarama. Ramati means to revel in the sun. Ramana Maharishi, the great sage, what does he do? He who revels, Ramana. Now, in the beginning, this may only be available to us when we are with the Guru. We develop the capacity to surrender, go where she goes. That's what attracted me to Swamiji, was the juice. And then after a while, he said, use the Guru, just think of me. Whether he was in India or Australia, or Japan, Swamiji. then you discover at some point that you can go there on your own. And that the guru was a temporary psychological device. He tricked me. It was myself all along. Say, find out who the guru is. Not that little brown man in an orange. Getting it. Oh, he's so smart. Oh, he's so eloquent. Oh, the great love for his person. And he disappeared as a form for me. There was just Atmaram. Now, when it comes to knowledge of yourself, you either know it or you don't. You either see it or you don't. It's like seeing the bunnies in the funny papers, on Sunday. You either see it or you don't. But how deeply the mind can revel in the self. That's like trying to count to the highest number. There's no end to how deep. It's always an inspiration when we get a chance to meet the Mahatma. Brahmananda rasa, the juice, the bliss of Brahman. And this, in a sense, is the difference between someone who has paroksha jnanam, indirect knowledge. They've studied the scriptures, they've listened to the teacher, they've watched the YouTube videos. And someone who has aparoksha jnanam, direct experience. The scriptures say one person of realization can recognize another. It's not by their yak, yak, yak. If one person disappears, you can feel if the other person can go there. This is a person who's not only a knower of the Supreme, but who can retire into the Supreme. Any thoughts on this? All right, next one.
Bahya Nitya Sukha Shaktim Vidvatma Sukha Nirvrataha Katastha Deepavat Swastha Swattan Swantareva Prakashate. The self-abiding Jivan Mukta, relinquishing all his attachments to the fleeting joys of the world and satisfied with the bliss derived from the Atman, shines inwardly like a lamp placed inside a jar.
Yes. So The mind no longer seriously extroverts into the world. And you can feel it in a person's mind if they're still jonesing for something in the world, or they're still seriously agitated by something in the world. We shouldn't fool ourselves. Some of these attachments are very strong, and we just have to work through them, live through them. The mark of the Jivan Mukta, the surface part of the mind, moves with the world in what we call vyavahara transactions. But she never takes the world seriously anymore. It's shunyata. Boy, the world's bad. It's nitya. It's just trinkets and baubles, pretty lights. What does the Mahatma do, the Jivan Mukta? Revels in the sound. Again, that just gets deeper, deeper. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Upadhishtopi tat dharma Mairyalipto Vyoma Vamunihi Sarva Vinbuddha Vatishte Dashapto Vayuvaccharet. Though he lives in the conditionings, just as the space, the contemplative one may remain like a fool, ever unconcerned with anything, or he may move about like the wind, totally unattached.
So the behavior of the woman of realization is undescribable. Sometimes she may just be still like a big snake. Sometimes she may have foolish behavior, silliness, laughing like a drunkard. Sometimes she may be functioning in the world, accomplishing 10 things at once because her mind is so wired. Sometimes she may be totally committed to some project and then, like the wind, she moves on. The Jivan Mukta, the liberated soul, is out of control. That's how I like to phrase it. They never know what's going to happen from moment to moment, and they don't care. Does that mean they're irresponsible in the world? They might be, or might not. This is not an enfeeblement of our cognitive powers in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I think of Swamiji. He wrote 40 books, taught his jnana yajnas, his camps, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 40 years. No downtime unless he was sick. Started hospitals and schools and microeconomies. gave speeches at Rotary clubs, consulted politicians. He only slept 4 hours a night. Answered personally every single letter written to him. Early days, he would write them out himself. As the mission grew, he would dictate them. No form letters. And no somebody else answering them for him. All himself. He was never fatigued. Laughed at the world. He thought everybody and all of us were funny. Next verse.
Upadhi Vilaya Vishnau Nirvishesham Vishen Munihi Jale Jalam Vyad Vyomni Tejas Tejasi Vayata. Upon the dissolution of the Upadhis, the contemplative one is totally absorbed in Vishnu, the all-pervading attributeless spirit, like water into water, space into space, or light into light.
Yes. So what happens at the moment of death for the person who is liberated? Just like the space in the glass. There's space in the glass while the glass exists. But if the glass is broken, can we say the space merged into room space? It didn't go anywhere. So the physical body goes back to its elements. The subtle body disintegrates back to its subtle elements. And I go. Now, is there something of a subtle form of the Mahatma that remains after they die? Sometimes. I know after Swamiji died, for a long time, God, did I feel his presence, especially when I would be teaching. And we were talking about the Dalai Lama. Is he going to reincarnate again? What is it that reincarnates? Is it our desire to stay connected to a Mahatma that keeps something there of the subtle plane? I don't know. But one of the things we have to be careful of. Oh, this world is so full of suffering. I can't wait until I realize that I don't ever have to come back. That's a subtle aversion. So the Jivan Mukta has to be willing to be in the physical body for the rest of eternity. This is it. Now, if the Buddhists make a distinction between what they call the Arhat and the Bodhisattva. Have you guys heard this? Yes?
Yeah.
How did you hear it described?
Arhat is somebody who is fully liberated. And Bodhisattva is somebody who is liberated but has the desire to come back and serve people until everybody else is also liberated.
Which is very weird because there's only one of us here. who is there to be liberated. But this discussion, whether or not there's something that remains and comes back as a beneficent being or on a subtle plane, you know, the like Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of this, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. You know, these are energy forms on other planes of reality that can help us. Or poof, gone. For the Jivan Mukta, leave that up to God. And that makes no difference. And it's certainly nothing to worry about. Get liberated right here, right now, in this very body. What happens after death? Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse.
Yalla dhana paro lavo yat sukhanna param sukham yajnana param jnanam tat brahma tat brahmet yavadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, the attainment of which leaves nothing more to be attained, the blessedness of which leaves no other blessing to be desired, and the knowledge of which leaves nothing more to be known.
Yes. There are people who say it's not about an end point, it's not about finding God, it's the journey. Vedanta says, there is something to be achieved, a blessing beyond all blessings, a knowledge that's the end of knowledge. All our strivings, all our struggles cease. In fact, that's the meaning of Vedanta, Veda Anta, the end of knowledge. What knowledge is that by which everything is known? Without which nothing can be known. Beyond which there is nothing to know. What's the end of knowledge? Coming home completely. Swallows all doubt. And it finally reveals to us where is the happiness, the peace, the contentment that I've been seeking. It's not in the world of name and form. It's my own self. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Yad drishtva na param drishyam, yad bhutva na punarbhava, yajñatva na param neyam, tad brahmet yavadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, having seen which nothing more remains to be seen, having become which one is not born again in this world, and having known which nothing remains to be known.
Yes. And again, it isn't that I become it. Language falls short. It is not a change in a state of being. It is a knowing. We don't get it, we don't achieve it, we don't acquire it, we don't become it. In the subtle intellect, I realize what I've always been. And the cause of my suffering has been the ignorance of that fact. Remember Vasana. Vasana has two powers. What's the first power? Varana Shakti. The non-apprehension of my essential nature. Where does that occur? In the self? In the mind. And then the subsequent power? Vishepa Shakti, projecting power. I think I'm a person. Think there's a goal out there, a world of name and form. And I'm impoverished. I'm not enough. It's not enough. Happy when, be better if, more, better, different. Third element, kartavya, struggle. As Hamlet says, we grunt, sweat under a weary life. For what? For a light show. Well, I won't do anything then. Yes, you will. The prarabdha, the karma of the body itself, will keep it moving through the world. You don't have to make it do anything. In the end, it's very, very simple. Real spirituality. It's profound common sense, but also profoundly simple. Do you all know the song Simple Gifts? Do you know it, Pamela?
The shaker song? Yeah.
Will you sing a little bit for us?
I don't know if I remember all
Tis
the
a
words.
gift to be simple,
tis a gift
to be
free.
down where we want to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. It's pure Vedanta. Be simple. You are the most simple. To bow and to bend, no ego. Shan't be ashamed. Oops. And what's the turning? Turn towards the end. Be our delight. Going around this. Wonderful. One more.
Tirya Gurdha Vamada, Tirya Gurdha Vamada Poonam Satchidan Tirya Gurdha Vamada Purnam Satchidananda Madvayam Anantam Nityamekam Yatha Yatha Brahma Tharayet. The one, eternal, non-dual, infinite, which pervades all the quarters, above, below, and all that which exists in between, which is of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss. Realize that to be Brahman.
Realize that to be your own self. So it's one particular level of our sadhana. You'll hear me use terms like look behind your eyes or look within. You might get the sense that the self is like behind or something. No, it's everywhere. It's in front, it's in back, it's inside, it's outside, it's above, below. Just like in the dream, it seems like I'm inside the dream body. And it seems that way because the body is a locus of perception. I peep out at the world of name and form from the body. But are you in the dream body, or is the dream body in you? Also, this body, mind, intellect, I am not in it. It is in me. Who are you? What is your essential nature? Go there. Satchidananda, existence, consciousness. Swamiji would look at us and say, meet me there. Okay, what verse are we on for next week?
57.
Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.